All right, everyone. It's Krista again with another video from my series, Coffee with Coaches. And today I am so excited to have someone on my podcast, a special guest, Tony Whatley, who is who wrote this amazing book called The Side Hustle Millionaire. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Tony, and you have a very interesting story. Can you tell us a little bit about your main side hustle, because it's a very it's a great one.
So background wise, I'm in Houston, Texas area, and I am a mechanical engineer. I worked in the oil and gas industry for the last 25 years, corporate world, made it to middle management, working for the majors, really successful career by many standards. But that wasn't enough for me. I was always building companies on the side, and I happened to be a car fanatic. So I was working in oil and gas, but I was not getting the car and the automotive scene that I wanted to be involved in. So I created businesses within that. And in 2001, I started one of the online communities based on the performance cars of Corvette, Camaro, Firebird, just basically any General Motors performance cars. And it grew into one of the largest forums of its type. So we had about 100,000 people that showed up every single day on that website. And even today, that business still exists. I sold it in 2007, about 6 years into the business, for a multiple seven-figure exit plan, which kind of became the title of Side Hustle Millionaire. We actually profited millions of dollars from that business before selling it and after sale. So understand that that was all done in my spare time. A lot of people think like, oh my God, that's some crazy amount of money. But if you create the right business models and they create a lot of valuation in these companies, you can actually sell those for high profit as long as you have those goals in mind with the valuation and just creating the right business model. So that business was only taking about an hour of my time per day, generating over $400,000 a year in profit.
That is very, very impressive. And for anyone who's not following Tony, you're going to want to, because he has also an amazing, do you have your own podcast? I think I'm subscribed to your podcast, right?
Yes.
You have your own podcast. So we're going to put the details of your podcast in the info of this video. And you also have, so you've got your book, your podcast, your business, and and your cars. I mean, if you follow Tony on Facebook, or I suppose Instagram too, you can see some of the cars. Tony has really good taste, guys. But that's not the main reason to follow him. That's just kind of a perk. The main reason to follow him is because he is one of the top business mentors that I have encountered, and I have encountered quite a few over the years, especially in the realm of people pitching, do you want to start a side hustle? You're legit. So do you really teach people how? So in addition to your online business, your physical business, your book, your podcast, you also have really built a successful mentorship program, right? Where you teach people beyond your book how to do it right. I mean, so can you tell us, that's what my focus of this particular interview would be, is I want to hear more about when did you decide to coach people? Was it when you were building this business, or before your book, after? Like, tell us a little bit about that story.
I think coaching and mentoring is something it's a characteristic of an individual. I think you have to have it within you to be a teacher or a coach or a mentor. It's not everybody can do that. Let's be honest. You have to have the patience. You have to be the effective communicator to be able to relay your messages into a simple point where, you know, your mentees or your students can understand things. These are skills that you learn to become better at communicating and being a coach and being an influencer and leading by example. But I've been doing that my entire life. So I remember even as a child, I was helping other kids do stunts on their skateboards and BMX bikes and teaching people anything I knew. I was always willing to learn. I'm like a sponge. I always like to learn something new every day. And I'm always looking to apply that, see if it works, do the sniff test, kind of filter the things out that don't really work. And then I would endorse the things that I actually did find value and that actually did work, and maybe add my own experience onto those and teach those to other people. So it's something that I've always stepped into the mentorship role, whether it was in the corporate journey or in business. So honestly, for the last 10 to 15 years, I've been helping my friends, my inner circle of friends, help them start their businesses. Some of them have built 7- and 8-figure companies with the advice I've helped them with. And they were always like, hey, Tony, you have like a lot of passion for helping people start businesses. Like, you should do this full time. But I had this, imagine of myself, like put myself through college and I had a successful career and I still own two companies on the side. I was like, I mean, I just don't have time to do that. As much as I love doing that, I just have too many things on my plate. I was just being honest with myself. And I didn't want to start carving into more of my free time to be able to do that because it wasn't about the money. It was about just helping them. And
Right.
then the oil downturn comes around 3 years ago. And when you're in your 40s and you're at that level of income, it's very hard to find a replacement job. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of these downturns. It happens every 7, 8 years in my industry. As I get older, it's very hard to replace that job. So I'm going to bet on myself and actually take my part-time companies and go full-time with them. And I actually started 365 Driven, which is my coaching brand that also is the umbrella brand for the podcast and the books I'm going to write and the book that I did write. So I created that company in the middle of 2017 and really just went all in on that. It's like, you know what? This is my duty to do this. I have an important story to share. I've got a lot of lessons, but I need to become a better and effective communicator and able to get those out there. So I started doing the public speaking training. I wrote the book, did the marketing of all that. I used to own a branding and marketing, a spinoff, a website, online companies. I had a lot of different companies. So I've
Mhm.
gained a lot of different skill sets getting to where I'm at. And that was very important to just be able to do that and be that coach. So now I'm all in doing it full time and really something I enjoy doing.
I can't hear you. 1 second.
Y-
There. Ah, sorry, Tony, you're back. My headphones. This is the beauty of technology. They die. They
the
die.
battery.
Oh, I know, battery, right?
Yeah.
But now you're on speaker, so I can still hear you. Sorry, I'm not at home with my usual fancy equipment. Um,
Okay.
but this is amazing, and may I say that I love your brand. I think that 365 Driven expresses just you hear that and you know right away that what that's about, and just keeping that as almost like a mantra for your business growth is very powerful. So I love it. And so you're good at branding as well, obviously, because
Mhm.
you've wrapped everything under that umbrella. Um, so what do you think the biggest challenges for you were when you took that coaching business full time? Um, like, tell us a little bit, maybe was it finding the right fit for you? Was that hard to find people who, or maybe people who are really committed to themselves? Like, tell us a little bit about the challenges you faced with that.
I would say the hardest part of getting into the coaching sphere or the personal development space is just building your reputation within that. It's like I said, I'd only helped people in my inner circle. I had definitely had the results. I believed in the things I did. I used the mindset and the strategies that I share to build the companies that I've built. So I already knew that they worked. But a
Mhm.
lot of people, let's face it, we're all skeptics out there. A lot of people are watching all these people that just kind of jump into coaching. It seems kind of popular on Facebook, Instagram to say you're a coach of some sort. But I think we're also, you and I, we tend to see a little bit more of that because we tend to have those groups of people that are in that same sphere. I think the average ordinary person out there doesn't really see a lot of that because they don't have a lot of friends doing that. So I think it's unfair that we kind of judge ourselves on what we see versus what the average person would see on their feed. But the thing is, you have to be able to build that reputation, build that branding, build that trust in the people who are willing to be your first customers. So until you create enough value, until you keep showing your consistency and your passion and your knowledge for the project and these things that you're working on, people don't believe you because they've seen thousands of people come and go before you that really weren't that serious about it, or maybe they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're just doing it to earn money instead of help you. And maybe they didn't have the experience because a lot of times people just take it for granted, hey, they're a coach, they're telling me they're a business coach, but I guess they know what they're doing. So I kind of fall into that trap. And honestly, that was part of the reason for me to get into it. It's like I saw these things that were being shared, and you and I kind of laugh about this online. We see a lot of things online that we completely disagree with, and you start doing the research on that person, even if it's a best-selling author, you're like, this person has never accomplished anything until that book came out.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there is a big debate about legitimacy and trying to discern legitimate from phony. And people are using titles that they shouldn't be using. They're calling themselves keynote speakers when they, they spoke for free in front of the Lions Club, So you and I think maybe because we've both been around the block. I mean, I've got 17 years of marketing experience under my belt. 12 of those years I ran my own agency, grew it, sold my shares in 2017, similar to you, consulted, and now I'm going all in on my own personal branded coaching business. So, different backgrounds, but we've been around the block. But the thing about coaching as well is, what is coaching? So when you said, I think that not only building legitimacy through reputation, but also figuring out what are the realistic value propositions being sold to people. You and I see through those, but for your average person, they might not. So they don't know what to expect. If someone says to them, if you hire me, I can help you build a 7-figure business in 6 months or even 3 months, or, there's this get rich quick schemes going on out there. And there's no way, you and I know that there's no way that we can guarantee what the person is going to do with our advice. So even if you and I are like, oh, I can build a 7-figure business in 6 months, that does not mean that you can coach someone to do that. There's no way that you can claim that. You can only show results. You can highlight some of your clients, right? So you're like, I myself have done it. So there's a legitimacy claim. Then I've coached these people and they're willing to provide testimonial of what they were able to accomplish. But there's no way you can put a dollar amount or a timeline on it, right?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies I see. And honestly, there's a lot of people out there, Krista, that fall into the get rich quick scheme. They think that, hey, this job isn't working out for me. What can I do to become a millionaire? And they're looking for things. And they're probably finding my book on Amazon because the millionaire's in the title and they're searching that, but they're actually going to find value in my book. That's the difference. Because you'll find that a lot of times people are having these business books, side hustle books especially. I hate to call out the rest of the side hustle community, but they think too damn small. They think about how they can make an extra couple hundred extra bucks a month. And it just blows my mind. Like, I can make a couple hundred extra bucks from one email. That doesn't take a month to do. So why are these people out here acting and they're proclaiming that they're experts in things that they've never accomplished? And they're encouraging people to think too small, and they're creating all these self-limiting beliefs on people who are trying to leave the workforce to create a company. And they're just limiting their beliefs right off the bat. And it just frustrates the hell out of me. There's so many things going on out there. And if you're the get rich quick type person, bad news, spoiler alert, there is no such thing as get rich quick. There's only work. There's only work. Anything that has value, anything worth having takes work. It takes effort. You're going to be putting the work in. And I'll tell you, even if you're working with me, you're still going to be putting in at least a year of hard work to build that brand, establish the company, and then maybe it starts to become passive. But there's no passive from the get-go. It takes about a year, 6 months minimum if you're really aggressive and you really hustle. But I'd say a year is about the average to get people up to speed where their company is actually creating some kind of a profit. And even then, again, you may not be paying yourself for the next 2 years until that can scale to something that can support the income that you want.
Well, it also depends where you start off, right? I mean, if someone comes to you and they're like, I got laid off, I'm 41, I'm having a hard time getting jobs because there's ageism and in my industry, so I'm considering starting a side hustle, and they have zero knowledge of sales and marketing. They have their expertise, whatever their skill set is, and they have an idea of this business. That's very, very different than someone who comes and says, I've already built and sold several businesses. I have this new idea, and I just really would benefit from working with a coach to keep me motivated, to keep me, what we call the mental 6-pack going. Then they might take off much sooner and see passive income returns quicker because they've already got a following. Through their previous reputation, they've got already a large community online following them, and whatever they do next is probably going to take off because those people are rooting for them and will buy their products because they trust them, right? So it's about the starting point.
That's absolutely true. It's the network that you have is very valuable, and if you've built the right personal brand, it's portable. You carry that with you your entire life. So whatever you get into, whatever your next projects are, whatever your next companies are, whatever your next partnerships are, People are genuinely curious and interested because they've seen you winning in different levels of different games.
Absolutely. That's what I love. It's like once you create the momentum, nothing can stop you. So if you say tomorrow, hey, I've decided to open a fitness product brand, you know, like I'm going to sell protein powder, people will probably buy it, not because of the protein powder, but because you are selling it to them. So relationship marketing, attraction marketing is something that I find is underrated, that more people should think about even before they hire a coach. You should be thinking right now, what are you doing to develop your own persona, right? Versus attaching that to one little piece of the pie. And what you said earlier about some of the coaches maybe setting the goals too low, I think that when I've seen that in affiliate marketing a lot, you know, where they're trying to get people in an entry level mindset where they're like, you know, not really to live off of or to become really successful, but just to have some extra dollars to take the kids on vacation or pay off a loan or something. And I think the real root of that problem is the coach themselves aiming too low. So I think that if you work with a coach and the coach is telling you to stay small, probably the coach is, you know, not aiming high enough themselves. So I always would look for a coach, guys, who's like aiming really high. Like if your coach is aiming up high, they're going to pull you up, because some coaches may even have inferiority complex where they don't feel comfortable coaching someone who could surpass their income. And that's a sad thing, because I'm always hoping that my clients will surpass my income. That, for me, that's the best success. And like, I want to represent someone just like a personal trainer wants to coach someone who goes to the Olympics, even though they themselves know that they don't have that in them to go to the Olympics. I want you guys to challenge yourselves to do something even crazier than what I would be willing to do. What do you think, Tony?
I think it's important, and you touched on mentoring people beyond your own skill set. That's very important because you and I, we've built the 7-figure companies, right? So that doesn't mean we lack the knowledge to build an 8-figure or a 9-figure company. Honestly, the first 7 figures is where you learn the entrepreneurship.
Yep.
That's where you really showcase your entrepreneurship. And then beyond then, it's just scaling, adding more team, adding more resources, getting more funding, whatever it costs. But the knowledge is there. So I could teach people because I've already created people that had 8-figure companies. I've managed 9-figure portfolios at a corporate level. So I'm very familiar with all different aspects of ranges of money. So understand that the mentoring versus coaching, I know that's one of the things that we discuss on here is coaching versus mentoring. There's a distinction between those, and you need to understand those. If you're looking for somebody, a coach is generally someone who hasn't done the things that you want to learn, but they've been educated in a coaching process or a coaching system to ask really spirited questions, to really dig deep beyond the surface level questions, to finally have you arrive at the answers for yourself. That's the basis of fundamental coaching. I've done some of those courses. I understand that. Even as a middle management type person in corporate, we had to take coaching lessons to be able to help our employees.
Yep.
They're just going to keep asking you questions, and they're good questions. They're very targeted questions to kind of help you lead you along the right path. But the difference between a coach and a mentor is actually someone who has accomplished the things that you would like to achieve. It's somebody that has personal experience that's not only going to ask you those same type of questions, but they're also going to be able to say, hey, that mistake that you're talking about cost me $1 million. Like, let's not go down that path. Or, you know, this is how I would objectify this thing, and this is the angle I would attack this problem with based on my own experience. So now they're basically giving the right coaching advice, but they're also coming from a place of actual experience. So it's very distinction between the coaching versus mentors. Now I get it. There's a lot of people out there calling themselves mentors as well, because honestly, it's a more prestigious title.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come across those people and you want to qualify them as a mentor, ask them the questions. What have you accomplished? What is the name of the company that you built? Did you have an exit plan? Do you have a balance sheet that I could see that, you know, shows me the profitability of the company that you created? Because you'll find a lot of these people out there that are trying to entice people to become their clients. They speak purely in revenue numbers.
Yeah.
Revenue is only half the story. Most people don't realize that. When you say, hey, I've got a 7-figure company, like when you tell someone like Krista or myself that, we're like, cool. Like, is that,
Where's your balance sheet? What are your
yeah,
expenses? If you're making a 7-figure income, but your expenses are eight figures because you took out way too many loans, that's where Tony and I will know. Whereas somebody else might not know that. They're going to be bought in by the big numbers, and that will blind them from looking underneath the carpet, guys. So we
yeah, without knowing the
back it up.
margin.
That's so good advice, Tony, about asking qualifying questions of your coach. Speaking of which, another thing that people touch on to me when we talk about coaching is how to vet credentials. So you talked right now about vetting credentials for mentoring. The credential should be, have you built a 7-figure, 8-figure business? If you're telling me that that's what you're offering me, that's a mentoring thing. But if you're a coach, are there criteria that you would look for, like a certain accreditation agency that you think they have to go through? Or what would your qualifiers be, or would you recommend to people who are looking?
I know that there are some popular accreditations like ICF, International Coaching Federation, those things that you see. There's basically a lot of these mentors out there, gurus sell their own programs. So these famous authors have their own coaching programs. But honestly, here's the thing that I take away from coaching. To me, a lot of times you find that coaches, some of them have the accreditation and they're not really good coaches. They're just, they studied really hard and they paid to get the thing that hangs on the wall that shows that they've done a course.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do that. I think when you find an actual coach, somebody that's really more of an accountability partner, let's be honest, they're trying to keep you on track. They're trying to keep your mindset. They're trying to keep your actions on track based on the things that they've learned. It's more of a personality fit. You're finding people that you can actually work with, and you want to find a coach that you actually want to impress. You want to find a coach that you actually have respect for and you don't want to let them down. Because if you are working with somebody as your coach and you're looking at them or you're listening to them, you're speaking to them, and you're feeling judgmental, like, oh man, I can run circles around this coach. Your gut's going to tell you everything. Your gut's going to be like, hey, can I come to a place where I want to make sure I'm not letting this coach down? That's important. That's important. It's a personality. It's a character mix. I don't really care about their accreditations. Hey, you know what? Ask for some references. Talk to some of their current clients. That's a good way. So, hey, give me 2 or 3 names of current clients that I can talk to, and I'd be happy to do that. So, anyone who's a coach that is not within private matters, of course, because I get it within some coaching, especially in business coaching. Sometimes our clients don't want to be known because they don't want people to know that they're working with coaches. They want to reap the benefits, and we're all for that as a business coach. But you do have some clients and be like, hey, I'll talk to them. Sure. You just have to understand who your clients are.
Well, one of the other warning signs, you touched on a lot of them, but one of the other warning signs I say to people is, how are they showing up every day on social media? If you see a pattern that every single time they show up on social media, it's to like vanity, where they're just talking about themselves and saying the same old sales pitch over and over, like almost like in an ironic tone, like, hey, you suckers working 9 to 5. I'm here on the beach, and they've got their like cocktail in their hand and they've got the beautiful background, or maybe they're leaning against a fancy car, like a nice sports car, and they're like almost mocking you on the screen, like, hey, this is the dream life. And you know what? I personally don't think there's anything wrong with that if it's every once in a while. But if it's every single post, that's all you hear about is their money and their fame, I would call them out. It's like the rooster with the, inflated
Mhm.
breast and like going around.
They're peacocking.
They're peacocking. Exactly. So why don't you guys look underneath that and see, do they provide any substance? Like, have you seen a single post of theirs where they give away free business advice? Are they writing reputable articles like in Forbes or Inc. or even on their social media feed? Do you guys see regularly stuff that resonates with you besides the money? And if it's only the money, I would run.
Even then, if you come to me and you're only wanting to make money, then I'm probably not going to work with you, because I know that your purpose is not strong enough to get through the hard times of your business. Because let's face it, if you don't have a strong enough purpose and you don't have passion in the subject of you're trying to sell or sell to other people, they're going to see right through that and know you're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And times do get tough in every business, especially startup phase. Let's be honest, like, you're going to be putting some hours in initially. You're going to feel like you're going to be talking to an empty room. You're going to feel like, why am I doing this? You're going to feel imposter syndrome. You're going to be thinking, who am I to like do this? Like, why would people listen to me? And do they believe in this product? And you're going to feel like nobody's watching you and you're going to want to quit. But if your purpose is strong enough, that's what's going to see you through. And if your purpose is just to make money, that is a very weak purpose. And it's not like money is a scorecard.
Yeah.
Money is the result of good value. It's not the goal. It's a result. And until people understand that, they're not going to have a good business. They're not going to be successful. But to touch on that part you're talking about with the fakery and all that, if I see coaches out there always asking to sell something like, hey, join my program, there's only 2 slots left, and and I've got clients that have made millions of dollars, and they're just talking about money, and they're trying to use scarcity to get you to sign up, and they're always trying to get you to join their programs or buy a product from them, but they're never adding any value, and they're just pitching, like, huge turnoff. That's a huge turnoff. That might work for some idiots. That, who that appeals to is the get rich quick people. And honestly,
people who aren't willing to put in the work anyway.
Exactly.
When I explained to them in the initial call that they're going to have to work really hard and they're going to have to take risks, they get scared off. They're like, oh no, I thought this was, I sign up here and then the money starts rolling in, kind of thing.
So yeah, maybe it's actually a blessing in disguise, Krista, that there are people out there doing that whole spiel and like just pitching all the time, because they're filtering out of the people that we don't want to work with anyways, to be honest.
That's so true. And honestly, you touched on a different aspect, is that I sometimes coaches on sales, because there has to be this fine balance. There has to be a balance between providing consistently value and giving away stuff for free to show off your expertise in a very generous, giving, open way. That's what builds your reputation. But if you never have a call to action and you never tell people, okay, I'm opening up a mastermind, or I have a new program, if you never do that, then you'll be like, I'm up there every day speaking to myself, to the empty void, and I'm not getting any clients. So I think you have to learn how to do both, right? So
absolutely.
So if it's either all or nothing, that's not going to work for you. But that brings me to the other question, is just to vet people. So we talked about how, that may be a blessing in disguise, because we'll scare off the get rich quick, hopeful customer. Do you have an initial call with the person if they reach out to you and say, Tony, I'm considering hiring you for coaching, I want to know more?
Yes, I do a 30-minute discovery call. It's on basically a Zoom video conference, because I believe in seeing them eye to eye. It's like you and I are having this conversation over a video conference right now. You can read facial expressions. You can see body language, things that are indicated like, hey, things are going well. To me, coaching is also, it's got to be a personality match. If I can tell that I can't work with you, I can tell like the way you're speaking, the things that you're not going to do. If I can see some stubbornness or some self-limiting beliefs that I'm not going to be able to crack through. Hey, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. There's other mental things that can be worked on. If you kind of do it with businesses and questions and focus, that's when I can help you on. But in 30 minutes, honestly, in the first 10 minutes of those 30-minute calls, I can pretty much tell if I need to work with that person or not.
Well, I love that, because it is very personal. This is someone who you're going to tell. If you're not truthful with your coach, you're not going to get anything out of it. So what you said at the very beginning of our call about having respect for that person, maybe you've observed them on social media, or someone mentioned them and you started checking them out, you're following them, you're loving what they're saying. Maybe like Tony, you have a podcast, you have a book, maybe you check that out at first, and then you really understand, wow, Tony is speaking my language. Like, this is exactly what no one's told me before, or the way he communicates is really up my alley. Then you reach out and say, Tony, would you work with me? There's already by default going to be some synergy, versus just contacting random people without doing your homework. I don't know about you, Tony, but as two business owners, I like to do my homework before business calls. So I want to know who my client is. I check them out. I check out their competition. So I'm like prepared when I go into my meetings. And so guys, if you're going to hire a coach, do the same thing. Check them out in advance so you know what kind of language they use. And then the 30-minute discovery call should just confirm it, yes or no, if you guys have that synergy, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's important to do that. You definitely want to do your due diligence and look up people's backgrounds and see what they're doing. Google tells you a lot of different things. There's a lot of people out there making these bold claims, and you go Google them and you look like 2 years and like they're not doing anything that they claim they did. And I'll tell you that nothing is safe from that. I've
Yeah.
even read some very, very high profile New York Times best-selling authors. There's a lot of personal development books out there who are preaching a big game, and you go, hey, that was a great book. Let me go do some research on who that author is and see what they've accomplished. And Google tells everything. Like, these people did not exist until those books came out, or they were just some middle level employee at some company, never started a business in their life.
Yep.
And they created a persona based on a book that now everybody's like, oh my God, they're such a guru. No, that means they just regurgitated all the crap that they've read in other books. There's nothing original in their book. They just reworded things because they've never applied any of the things that they've actually preached.
Good point. And I would say that there's not a big investment involved in buying someone's book or reading someone's article, but coaching is a bigger investment, guys. So we didn't touch on this yet, but coaching is not something that you go in, you put down $100 and you come out making seven figures. It is a process. It's a two-way street. It's a partnership. The coach has to vet you as well to see if they want to work with you. They don't want to work with people who aren't going to put in the work or who aren't going to become successful. Frankly, we want you to succeed. So with that said, what do you think, realistic expectation is for somebody who says, I want to work with a coach? Is it one session and it's over, or is it 6 months, 3 months? What do you like to tell people they should expect?
I think that a good coach or a good mentor, honestly, you should be able to learn everything you need to learn from that person within 1 year. And if you haven't learned everything within 1 year, then they're probably not a good coach, or they're just stringing you along. I don't believe in keeping people dependent on me. I try to encourage them to have this thought process, the mindset that I have, to be able to make their own decisions. Like, I don't want to have to handhold people. I want to help them along that journey and make them very strong-minded and very independent and be able to analyze and make decisions on their own. That's the important skill set they're going to take. And hopefully when they're done with me, they go find someone that can make them the 9-figure business owner. And those are the kind of coaches I have. Like, so if you have coaches that are not being coached themselves, how do they believe in selling you the coaching product? There's a lot of coaches that have never been coached before. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how can I sell you something that I don't believe in or I haven't used myself? So that's another good question you could always ask them. Like, hey, who do you consider your mentors, whether virtual or in person?
Tony, what you just said showed me that you have your heart in the right place and your ego in check. Because I have seen that some coaches have inflated egos, and sadly to say, fame can go right to your head, not just in coaching, but in general. And not only do they double, triple their prices overnight and start talking big, like, oh, I've got a waiting list backed up for 4 years. I have a lottery to pick who gets to work with me. It's such an honor. But also they forget that they are not God. So we coaches, we give you guys everything from inside of us, but that's, you should grow. Like what you're giving your clients, Tony, they should take it, internalize it, use those tools and grow. And then there's a point where they've outgrown you, right? And your ego, you just showed me that you know that. And that's great, because then you're not in it for just taking their money and keeping them dependent on you. So very, very good point. And that's another thing, guys, you might want to consider asking a coach up front. Do a little ego check when you interview them in the discovery call, and ask them, like, how long do you want me to work with you? What should I expect? Because if they tell you, well, you'll never get anywhere unless you keep working with me, so it's a long-term commitment, run, go to Tony, go to someone else, but please don't hire someone who isn't going to give you the tools to find what's inside of you and then grow incredibly.
Yeah, I would say that it's a minimum of 3 months if you want to join any coach to get it to create new habits. It takes 90 days to create new habits, new mindsets. And if you're with the right person within, those 3 months, those first 3 months, you're going to see some changes in your mindset, your behaviors, your actions. Now, I would say it takes probably about 6 months to really start to implement those things and really believe in yourself and start to get some execution and have some trust in your new abilities and your new mindset. And then within a year, you should be fully operational at that point. And honestly, a lot of times people will do that first 6 months and they'll go execute for 6 months on their own to try to practice what they've learned. And if they need to, they always come back. They can always come back. Okay, now I'm ready for that next step. Let's do it again. Let's add a little bit more here. I want to be more focused on marketing. I want to be more focused on personal branding or public speaking. Whatever you want from that coach, you can always come back. Don't think it needs to be like just this duration that never ends, because the spaces that you're taking from their coaching, they can open up that to other people to help. Because as a coach, I want my students to do well, because I don't feel like I succeed unless you succeed.
That's great. I mean, everyone needs to develop at their own pace. So if you're giving them the tools and they know what to do, they might want to fly solo for a while. And that also kind of breaks that dependency to see, okay, can I do one thing I teach my students is self-coaching. So I'm like, I don't want you just to wait for the, the call that you have with me. I want you to teach yourself how we're going to do self-coaching, because there's going to be a day when you're on your own for any reason, when that very moment, I'm not going to be there. Maybe you're having the worst client deal of your life and that self-saboteur voice is just killing you with self-doubt. You can call up your coach. I mean, coaches are really, they're there for you during that period anyway, but it's not the same. You got to learn how to turn on and activate that self-coach, right?
Absolutely.
This
Awareness.
is so valuable.
Awareness.
Self-awareness. I could talk to you all day, Tony, but you've already given me so much great advice. Oops.
Time's up.
Time's up. That was so timely, wasn't it? I promise I didn't do that on purpose. But anyway, you've given me so much great advice, because I think people need to hear this. People should work with coaches. You should invest in yourself. Good coaches aren't out there to steal your money or get rich off of you. In fact, we're just natural fixers. We just love helping people. And like you said, it's more of a calling versus a skill. Anybody can go pay for an accreditation, but in the end, they may really not have it in themselves to coach others in a selfless way, or their ego may be way too big. And then you'll know right away. You'll be like, okay, this coach is only in it for the money, and let's get out of here. So anyway, it was great talking to you, Tony. I mean, I could talk to you all day. I'm not joking.
It's good to connect, and we've been chatting on Facebook a while, so it's always good to connect. And I would thank you for having me on your show. I'll always be glad to come back and contribute more value when you need it.
I love it, and I'm going to put the link to your book too on Amazon after this, because I really think your book is very valuable, whether or not people work with you, and also your podcast. So you guys can get a little sense of who Tony is, because he's really shows up every day on social media and gives back. So you give back priceless advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.